A major question in society is, by 2035, can we eliminate fossil fuels from our energy mix? The good news is science over the last 2 decades has provided the tools to give society green energy. The question then becomes, do we all, beyond scientists, want this? And that's a question of what are we willing to pay? But rest assured, we have the answers to do it. It's now a question of economics. A major discovery from our labs was the bionic leaf. And what the bionic leaf does, just like a regular leaf in nature, it can take sunlight, air, and water, combine them, and make fuels. And amazingly, we were able to show that we can do that 10 times better than nature. So our artificial photosynthesis is 10 times better than what nature can do. Italy, like Europe and like the US, and for that matter of fact, all developed world countries, are still far from the energy transition. And the question is, what do these countries need to do? And the real issue here is one of economics. What is the price that people are willing to pay, because it's going to cost more money, for a renewable energy technology? You have to remember, in Italy, in Europe, in the United States, we've spent tens of trillions of euros to build our energy infrastructure. So no one single discovery, including mine, the bionic leaf, can supplant or replace tens of trillions of euros of infrastructure that is, by the way, paid off. So the question has to become where we look inward and say, just how much are we willing to pay? And then we need to stick to it. This award means a lot to me. One is my background, my heritage is Italian. So to be honored by Italian science is, you can't have a bigger compliment. And then secondly, the award is also sending a message about how important a new energy transition to our future is. And so I'm first delighted to receive the award. I'm delighted that our accomplishments are being recognized by the award. But more importantly, it's sending a message that a transition from fossil fuels to green energy is probably the biggest challenge confronting our society. And it's recognizing that science is well down the road to solving those problems for our humanity and for all of you out there. And that's why I love receiving this award. Another driver, when we talk about energy, the driver is the world we live in. But actually, the real driver for new energy is the developing world, the poor of the world. And the reason for that is, think about energy use, and we already have major climate change, and there's only been 4 billion people of the 8 billion people on the face of the planet using energy. Well, guess what? In the next 30 years, the 4 billion people in the developing world are going to need energy, and we're going to add 2 more billion people, and those people are being added to the global south, the poor parts of the world. So in the next 30 years, 6 billion new energy users are really going to be visiting our planet and living on our planet. And so for me, the most important thing is to get those 6 billion people a new way to think about energy. Not the way we have in our world, which is based on fossil fuels, but one based on green energy. And you can start thinking, if you're poor, what does a poor person have that the richest person in the world has? Every single person can look up and see the sun. Everybody has air around them. And everybody has water. Now, it doesn't have to be clean water. It can even be wastewater or a puddle on the ground. And so that's what led us to develop the science we did, specifically the artificial leaf and then the bionic leaf, because those discoveries take sunlight, air, and water in a distributed way and make food and fuel. And that is a new way of doing business. I don't need a large centralized infrastructure anymore. I just need a localized or distributed infrastructure using raw materials, any water source, sunlight, and air to make food and fuel. And so I think one huge imperative when we think about energy is energy for the legacy world. Legacy meaning the part of the world where we already have an energy infrastructure, a legacy of energy. But the people we really need to be concerned about is the non-legacy world, the part that doesn't have that energy infrastructure, because that's in the global south, and that's where the energy push is going to come. And thankfully, because they don't have a big energy infrastructure, they're not tied to it, so they can adopt new types of solutions and technologies much quicker than we can in the developed world. And you're all familiar with that already. It's called the mobile phone. The global south and the poorer parts of the world were very quick to adopt basically cellular infrastructure, cell phones, and without the need for wires and transmission lines. So think about it, that same opportunity exists for energy, and it's really an imperative to get that part of the world energy, green energy, as quickly as possible. Because think about what we've done just with 4 billion people in the climate change. What's going to happen when 10 billion people are contributing to climate change? So we want to make sure that the developed world has a new option and a new way of doing energy in the future. Some people say sometimes to me, it's really nice that Professor Nocera is helping the poor to give them energy. And I always say, the poor are going to help us because they're going to adopt new technologies that we can't, and they're going to show us how to live in a green way with new technologies. And then I think we're all going to get jealous of them and then want to be like them.